Hey folks, it's Tim here. Yeah, what we're going to do now, we've just been developing this little Sokol app and we've been able to draw a little triangle on the screen. So when we run this app, we get this little triangle with nice lots of colors. So yeah, one little thing I'm just going to tweak with it is just with the Makefile and the build system. So the problem we've got, it's not the biggest problem in the world, but it just everything's about speed sometimes when you're developing and getting quick feedback. So when we run this, it's that obviously runs quite quick. We hit run and it runs, but you can, because we've got this build system with use and make, there's not actually rebuilding this every time. So but as soon as we make a adjustment to the source file, so even if we don't make adjustment, we just write that change and we hit make run, we've got that little second delay in terms of how long it takes to build that app. Now at the moment we've only got 3 dependencies, but as we add these dependencies in, that build time takes a little bit longer. So, and I'm on a M1 Mac and it builds pretty quick. So potentially we just don't want that build script. Now, my C file is very small. So like that, the build step in that is very quick, but this, GFX library is 21,000 lines long and this Sokol app's 12,000 lines. So every time because of the way we've got this set up, we've sort of just including these directly in this main file. We're kind of rebuilding that in the single compilation unit. So we're rebuilding the entire source code every time we hit make run. And well, not every time we hit make run, every time we make a change to our source, we rebuild that entire app. So what we're going to just quickly do is make a little deps.c file, right? And this will be sort of our dependencies that we can include all our C files in here, right? And so what I'm going to do is grab this little bit of line of code here, put that in there like that. Okay. Now, but what we really want is the way these single header file works is that we can kind of include these multiple times, but we only want the C file or the implementation file done once. So this is the implementation. So this C file here, this deps.c file will be the compilation unit, which will include all the source code. And then every other time we include these will just the header definitions. Okay, so in our main C file, we want the header definitions. I just want to split that out there. So this is our shader file. These are our dependencies. So maybe we just put a dependencies here. So yeah, these are our dependencies and this is our shader. Okay, so and then these ones are sort of the standard lib. Well, let's just say libc. We don't really need that line. Okay, so right, so that's how that's going to work, right? So we can, but now we need to actually set up our Makefile to sort of do that, right? Because if we just go and make this now, yeah, we get all these linking errors, okay, because it's not really building properly. So, right, how are we going to do this? So what we want to do, we actually want to build, first thing we probably need to do is build a deps.o file, okay? And it will depend on deps.c. We probably should depend on all these Sokol libraries. So if we update them, we can kind of, include that in it. So maybe we will do that. So let's just say our dependencies are Sokol app.h, Sokol gfx.h, and Sokol glue.h. Okay, and then I think we can, we can just put our deps here. These are our dependencies. Right, now to build our deps.o, we're going to use clean. Once again, if you're using GCC, just change this to GCC. If I set up this Makefile in a sort of general project, probably should create a CC file up here and sort of set it like that. But yeah, for now we're just trying to keep things as simple as possible. So we want to do a -c, which will generate an object file, and we just want to use deps.c. Okay, and that's it. So let's just see if that works, but because this is actually in this folder, we just need to include this in the folder like that. So can we make deps.c? Oops, deps.o is what we will make. Okay, so these are actually in the deps folder as well. Not sure why that's not working. Let's just try that without that for now. Let's see what happens. Okay, no such input file. Okay, so this should be deps.deps. A lot of deps going on here. Okay, right, there we go. Okay, so that looks good. So we're actually compiling that now, but we get some Objective-C errors, which means that we're not including our C flags. Okay, so let's include our C flags, which will include our Objective-C compiler. Okay, there we go. So let's just have a look here. Have we got a, we've got a deps.o. Okay, that created the deps.o there. It's not where I was expecting it to create it, but I mean, yeah, that kind of works. I don't know. I mean, we probably should create a build folder and sort of put all our artifacts in there or like whatever, but like maybe just to make this a little bit cleaner, let's put this in the deps folder just to sort of keep it tucked away there. Let's just see if that works. Okay, there we go. That's sort of what I wanted. Okay, so we've got our deps.o folder there. If we haven't even checked this into Git, which I will do, but once we did that, we'd add that to our git ignore folder. We want to ignore all the object files. But let's generate that object file. I still thought this would work. Let me just add this back here. Not sure why there. Yeah, there's something I'm doing here that's just not quite right because I really want these to be a dependency of that. Dry, so we can do a dry run to see what it's. It's saying there's no target, but they're not targets, these are files. So I don't know what I'm missing there. What am I missing? Am I spelt it wrong? Have I? Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to worry about that for now. So we'll continue on. But yeah, this is generating a depth side. Okay, now back on our demo app, we just now need to include that object file deps.o into our build. Okay, deps.o. Okay, so now when we build our demo app, we're including our dependencies. Okay, so make run, and I didn't spell that right. And there we go, we've got it. Okay, cool. So now though, when we build our dependencies, that is the slow part, right? But now if I make a change, it's going to be hard to see the difference because this is compiling quite quickly anyway. But if I save this file and we hit make run, it's almost instant, right? Like the compile time to compile the main.c is so quick. And even if we add more and more dependencies and the library gets bigger and bigger, because if we look at the Sokol app, there's, we might include the audio, we might include the fetch, we might include the log and some time. So we could include these other functions, there's other libraries we might be including, and all that's going to add to the build time, right? So we don't want to be building dependency code every single time when it's not changing, right? We only want to be building this main function that's changing all the time, right? As we're sort of developing. So now I can hit make run and bang, well, that wasn't a good example, but if I save that file, make run, it builds it. And we're not rebuilding the object file because it's now dependent in the pipeline. So yeah, and yeah, this would be what I'd like to actually depend on. I'd like this make file to depend on these ones. So then if I run an update, which I've got an update function down the bottom where I go and refetch the latest versions, I would like this to then, only then when these files get updated, to rebuild this. So I would like this to get included into this, but I'm just missing something I can't quite think of. So if I think of that, I will put it in another video. But anyway, for now, that's all I've got. So see you next time. Oh, I'm back. Now I figured out what it was. So yeah, before I was trying to include depths, and you've probably all seen it, depths like this, and getting an error, and the error is because I cannot spell Sokol. And if I now run it, there it is. So now if I, yeah, this is now a dependency of these depths. So if I run get this fetch function down the bottom here where I'll fetch Sokol, make Sokol, that will fetch in the latest versions. Okay. Now I make run. There we go. So you can see there, the first step there is actually rebuilds the dependencies because they've been updated, and then it will rebuild the rest of that. And then if I run that again, it will just run it. But this time, if I only edit the main file, it will only regenerate the main file, not the not the main file. So there it is.